All right, what's going on, everyone? Today I'm working on the rhyming dictionary I started last week. So the project, we architected it last week and now we're implementing it. Not last week, Monday. Days just blend. So we have the architecture already kind of figured out. Now we're just getting Claude to implement it, and I'm working through what would normally be my AI generating process to build out the product. It's a TAN-stack start front end with a payload CMS back end. Right now it's a mono repo, so eventually it will come together because payload 4 is going to combine or allow for additional adapters. All that work is in flight now, so we'll see how that ends up actually looking here in the future. So I'm going to pick it back up from our terminal here. So right now we see that this is Mondays, so the last stream. I got to a place where I could clear context. Right now this is going to ask if I want to start from a summary. I do, because I have the ability to resume because I have a handoff document. And with that, I'm able to keep track of context in an external file instead of holding it all within Claude itself. So I don't have to worry too much about context management there across sessions. So you don't want your tokens to get past, I normally don't, between like 20 and 30% is when I want to flip it. Especially with the million token context, it doesn't make sense to try and get it all the way up to that million tokens. I'm just trying to keep it nice and tight and in the smart zone. So what this is going to do is it's going to compact our conversation, and let's actually move this over to the right half. And we have here a handoff and a roadmap. So if I go to the handoff document, it's going to say to start with, resume here. It should tell me to start in, okay, I had to make sure that this didn't just put stuff in here. It's going to have me go into phase 2. So 0 is done, phase 1 is done, phase 2 is next. So it says next, I'm just going to say start on phase 2 in the handoff doc. So it's going to read all this and get everything we need. And so what it's working on, if I go to pnpm dev, is going to be, it actually lays out what it's doing in our front end here. If I search for a word, we'll just search for test. Phase 2 is actually getting the search UI together. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Claude pulls this together based on the architecture diagram we gave it. So now we just wait for Claude to do its thing. And what phase 2 is doing, so it is doing, all it's doing is the search. It doesn't even have the rest of the phases are in the roadmap, so we can look at the roadmap instead. But this is where it's going to build out our rhyme getting function, computing the keys, and matching things. But in the roadmap, this will have more. This is actually preview. Okay, perfect. So got our decisions here, yada yada, phase 2, 3. All right. So in phase 2, we're getting the search UI and words. This is going to be pretty hefty, I think. I don't know why it's a shorter phase, or it looks like a shorter phase. Where should the shared rhyme engine live so apps web can import it cleanly? It currently lives here. Which web can't resolve. Interesting. So we will move this into its own package. That makes sense to me. So we'll handle all of the deployment stuff later with how these packages are going to work. How far should rhyme type results go to this phase? All 5 types wired. Yeah, I need to be able to test all of it, so we want all of it wired together. Then after this, it's going to have all of our users added. So we're going to add, oh, roles were already added. Were our notes and favorites added, though? I don't think they were. Collections, no. So we do have users with roles. There they are there. Then back to the roadmap. After that, seed me some users. And then we can join fields for the favorites and the notes. So the UI will look different for that, but the admin UI will need to see it. And it would be easier to render on the front end anyway in that way. So then we get to stripe gating, because I would want this to be a paid product, or at least have payments possible. So that would be here with our excuse me, stripe gating phase. And then get into more advanced things like the external definitions and synonyms. All right, so we'll see how far we can get today, but phase 2 for sure, possibly, honestly, we might be able to get this to a V1 today. So let's actually move this over to the left side, because we're really working on seeing how this comes together. Localhost admin. Oh. That's not even a real email address anymore. Safari settings. Just removing all of my autofill stuff, because that just gets in the way. But let's get out of this. What did I do? I think I did admin@example.com. I don't actually remember. Oh boy. I can look this up real quick. I know what the password is because it's very secure. I just don't know what the username is. But luckily I can connect to my local Mongo and just pull that out real quick. All right, users. It's my name at example.com. There we go. And so now we have our admin UI pulled up as well. So I don't really know why it's creating this extra package. I didn't think this would be a necessary thing, but perhaps since it's a separate engine with all this other logic, it needs its own package of sorts. And this wasn't even part of the scope, so we'll see if it's actually necessary. So we have our CMS, web, packages. So rhyme. We can actually look at it. I don't have to guess. So, all right. So it's got some tests. Single field. Types are being added now. So these are our vowels, which are... These should actually be already in payload. Yes, Claude Code. Yeah, sorry, I just saw your message. It is Claude Code. And so this is interesting. Okay. So then this is all the exports. So query side rhyme. I need to figure out why we need this, but I guess I can ask. By the way, oops. Why do we need this package? So I'm trying to figure out what the package is actually doing, if it's just filling in an unnecessary need. All right, we need, because the Rhyme engine has to run in 2 separate apps and there's no clean way to share it. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's all I needed. All right, so now it's getting everything linked together. I do see some type errors. I think those will go away after a type check and get all that cleared. We got our match here, and these are being shared across the 2 applications. Web can't consume anything from the server though, so it's going to need a shared package that does the communicating for it. We'll need free rhyme types when we get there. That makes sense. Getting some good documentation as we go as well. So rhyme keys, solidify. Really curious to see how this is going to work. But yeah, these, I didn't even know this was a, oh, it's a new set. Interesting. Try changing lib compiler to ES 2015 or higher. What did you use then? vtest. Oh well, we'll see how it goes. But the reason that this is here is to share the rhyme engine between the 2 apps. So data transfer object being created, type, pronunciation subfields. I do need to know also, I don't know, is your, do you work in a company or do? I am not doing YouTube full time, but I am a software engineer. This is this project specifically is for fun, but this, like doing live streams is what helps me learn how to do new things. So learning 10 stack start and how to better use Claude in my own projects, things like that. So that's what the purpose of these streams are. All right. So let's close some of these things. Oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to ask it. I need to know how adding new words is going to look, because if I go and I look at our words, we can create new words, but it has name normalized and then a frequency, which I don't really know how to add. And then there's pronunciations. So I need to see if there's going to be a way that can take care of this for me. Leave anyway. All right, so it's doing a lot of back end stuff right now. And I'd really like it to get to the front end so we can start seeing some code. But I know all of this is necessary. It's okay. Where's this being done right now? Web source library. Oh. Yes, that is the goal. I don't want to just blindly accept what Claude is giving me. So part of it is, like, the way I look at it is I gave, I didn't do it in this stream, but on Monday's stream, I created like a full architectural diagram of what I want the project to be before I even opened up Claude. So Claude went through and helped me think through a few things after that. But I knew what the project was that I wanted and what I thought I needed to get to that finished end state, and I could tell it what the end state is. And then I drew out a whole diagram, how all of the components communicate with one another, all of that. and then I handed the project off to Claude. So I'm not going to be able to type as fast as Claude can generate code, but in my opinion, my job is not just to generate code, but to make sure that code quality is good. That's important, but that also we're getting the outcome that we're meant to be getting. So I'm doing some light review. Of course, Claude will do some more review with me as well, because it's also generating more than I can review, like literally. Like there's no way that I would be able to review as much code as it's going to generate, especially by the end of this project. But I am able to take it piece by piece and make sure that we have a strong, like robust, resilient application by the time that this is done. But yeah, so now it's generating. Okay, so some front end is going in. Let's see what that's looking like right now. That's the CMS. Here we go. Oh, it's because it's over here. All right, perfect. So we've got test. Interesting. Did not expect it to have tabs here, so that's cool. Wow. All right. So then we have things with 2 syllables, and this is all perfect rhyme. So if I went to near rhyme, we have lest also rhymes with processed, conquest, accessed, and then 3 enviro test. So some of these are going to be like nonsense words. So we want to fix that as well. So just first must. Okay. Yeah, like apostrophe S is not really a word. But all right, so we have lest view all 245 one-syllable rhymes. So I don't love that. We'll want to change. So a couple things I want to change. Because I also want... This is where things are going to get interesting, because part of what I actually want is for me to be able to rhyme lest if it's part of like the first part of a word. So a few things I would want to do. So I'm just brainstorming here as we go. So there's this apostrophe S word here. I don't know why that's so high up in frequency, and then everything else is not. So I think something got weird there. So we'll have to look at that. And then there are a bunch of 0, so I probably want to hide uncommon words. I need to start taking some notes here. So I would want a way to hide uncommon words. Maybe we can gate that as well. Then there is just apostrophe S, which is not a word, but somehow has a very high frequency. I also want to be able to rhyme words with certain syllables of other words, and then label that appropriately on the front end. So then also here, like for perfect, we have lest, best, all of these. Also, view all. 37 one-syllable rhymes. I mean, that's nice, but I don't want to have to go to a different screen to page through my rhymes. Let's also add some motion on page load. Probably just some fading in. The sections should also be collapsible so we can see the lay of the land more easily. So I'm also using Raycast's dictation feature to write these out. But right now, I was just about to say that this is going really well, but it stopped going well. Why did that happen? Internal server error. I wonder if it kicked me. Yeah, I think it killed my localhost 3000. Yeah, so it's not getting anything right now, but that's okay. We'll wait till Claude figures out its life, and then we'll move on from there. So still waiting for CMS to be ready. Why don't we just kill our servers? If you could tell what is the job market like, what domains are more relevant in one domain that you would have looked into if you could start everything again. I don't honestly know what the job market looks like right now. I have not looked. So if I were to believe the headlines and Reddit and Twitter, it's not looking great. But also I know that demand for more than just like code generating is coming and coming back, in my opinion. Like actual software engineers, people who do more than just write code is what I'm trying to say. So I do think there's value in that. So again, don't really know what the job market looks like. I'm not looking, so it's hard for me to have a good pulse on that. And I don't really have a lot of friends that are looking either. What domains are more relevant and one domain you would have looked into? Outside of like learning how to use AI earlier to code, I should have gotten a little bit further into that before, but I don't know if I would change anything how I started, because I started with Python, learned web dev, and started working my way into product that way. But yeah, probably working more. I also came from marketing, so I have a good eye on like what customers actually use and how they use products. So also, as far as disciplines go, knowing marketing and knowing customers is always good. So customers, actual software engineering, not just writing code, etc. So, and sorry, yeah, I don't know what the job market's like. I hope that was at least a little helpful though. All right. So starting, I wonder if it has restarted my... All right, yeah, so that's back. But that's not up right now, so I can't check the front end again. And then I'm just doing auto mode for Claude right now because I don't need to sit here hitting enter for every step that it's doing. The web app and test the actual SSR end to end. So this should be up now. Perfect. Try another word, or there's no perfect rhyme with contest, I guess. But like words that should come up for this would be, so guest, yes, but also I would want something like contest, guess would work well, I think. Yeah, because none of these, I don't know why was is here though. But if we go to consonants, because this is not exactly what I'm looking for with this. Yeah, a lot of these, I guess it's looking at the stressed T at the end. And then there's no perfect multisyllabic sentence. All right. So guess, contest. Yeah, this is why I wanted to go by vowel sound. So if I look at this, one thing I'm not seeing are rhymes that is based on vowel sound. For example, contest and guess both share similar vowel sounds and could be interpreted as a rhyme. And I want to be able to address for that. All right, let me read your question real quick. Also, how has it been? How has time before AI and after? I think systems thinking is the primary shift I've seen. It's less like, can so-and-so write well-documented code? It's, can so-and-so direct agents to build resilient, robust software using AI? There's going to always be, like, most of my channel is coding tutorials. I think learning to code is still extremely important because the fundamentals, the primitives, all of that is still there. So still being able to talk the talk is extremely important, but knowing how to think through problems, so problem solving, which is also just, that's a coding thing anyway, but figuring out those problems and then coming up with solutions is something that I think people are looking for. Before it was like, can you think through how, like, I've never done a leak code interview, but I've seen the horror stories of being given a leak code problem and having to like think through and solve it under pressure. I don't think I could ever. All right. What are you doing, Claude? All right, so I think it's trying to get something from the front end, but is it not getting anything? Because is this client only show page source? No, there's a search here, the logout and all that, so should be fine. All right, so just looking at this, if I go back to like acquire, fire, liar, hire, yes. You can find me on LinkedIn using my name, the same name as my YouTube channel. Entire, desire, require. So if I look at hire, there should also be homonyms. How are we addressing homonyms in this phase? Such as higher, H-I-G-H-E-R, and hire, H-I-R-E. So lots of questions here. So then there's a doublier. But like, the reason I don't like rhyming dictionaries and why I'm looking into this now is why, like, Isa, I can't even pronounce it. But if can I look it up? Like, what does this even mean? No results found. So if I look this up, oh, sorry, everybody. All right, so it's somebody's name. So why is this even showing up in my words? Yeah, why does show up? Even find that as a word. Let's bring in some Spanish. Excelente, yes, very excelente. Look up. This is also not a word. Where are you? What are you doing? Do I have a not found? Well, it doesn't matter. All right, but yeah, so like, I don't even know how to pronounce this. We should include pronunciations as well. From what I understand, there is an API that has audio files with common pronunciations. So I think it's doing some testing right now, and that's why it's taking so long. But like, look at this. What is this? Is this other languages too? Here. So frustrating. This is not what I wanted at all. So we will start working on that. I think it killed my servers. All right. What happened to my long hair? It got too long, it got too hot, and I was tired of trying to take care of it, so cut it all off. Wasn't worth keeping. I did get to donate it, so that was cool. So I donated my hair, and it's now gone. All right, so things are looking good mostly. So I've got some complaints already with this project, but we're just trying to get it to 80% so I can get it to 100%. It's not going to happen overnight, but if I look at page source, this should have everything included. Like, nothing is going to be client side only. Go here, syllables, page source, flyer, sire. And so I don't hate this here. All right, still going through some tests. Where are we with context? Okay, we're pretty close. But now we should also have the search bar should be on every page, or a way to access search should be on every page at least. I would like it to finish testing so I can send this long message. All right, it's going to do a commit. I don't really care if it commits to anything. Oh, this has been running for 30 minutes. Wow. Doesn't feel like it's been that long. Now update the handoff, roadmap docs, and memory. Let me... All right, so it's marking all of phase 2 done. Should we come back to this after the app is fully implemented, or make adjustments now? So if it's going to be easier to just keep moving on with the product, I'd rather come back and take care of these fine-tuned things. I don't think this is going to mess with the architecture at all, But like, there are just words in here that we don't need to include. Filters, if we add a filter, anything that is... So first of all, we have 126,000 records. So if I switch frequency to be greater than 0, that brings us down to almost 100,000 words. So that's okay. Is there a different frequency that maybe we should go after though? Yeah, because some of these words I don't think I have ever used. So what if we do like 10? Like bassoonist is a good word. There are names in here. Is there a way to remove proper nouns? I think I may have already addressed that. I'm trying to find a good frequency threshold to start from or to exclude. All right, so I'm going to send all those notes in. Does this have all the other collections though? I don't know why it's asking me to test things that I don't think are implemented yet. I didn't think so. So there are no new collections to do anything with. And then are these types good? They are not. So it just needs to be the compiler. So it's something with my library. That's not a big deal. I'm not too worried about that yet. So I just sent in this long message. Like, I don't know why some words show up. There are some proper nouns in here that I think need to be removed as well. But that's, I think, what makes not all of, I won't say all of them, but the other like rhyming dictionaries that I've seen in the past, where it's just like including nonsense words that no one is going to ever use or have ever used. So like Meyer, like I think this is also a last name. Yeah, there's no results. But like if I look up syllable, it's going to come back with a definition. So let's see. One is new rhyme dimension, and a couple are architecture sequencing questions before I propose anything. It thinks servers are stopped, so let me stop the servers. But I mean, the design is looking pretty good, so that's nice. It's following my instructions with ShadCN and Tailwind, so I'm not too worried about that. Oh, and then I forgot to ask, also, how would I add words that are missing? Probably have a contact form for this too. But I'm not sure how me as a human would be able to add a word in the same format that is expected here. Or is the list that you pulled exhaustive? We're gonna have to clear context here in a little bit because it's been quite a bit of context on on phase 2. So that took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, which I guess is not a bad thing. It should take its time making some of this, but still, I'm afraid we're going to get to a point that it's not going to be able to break cleanly before it starts getting into the dumb zone. But I guess we'll see. All right, lay of the land. All right, so let's read this through. It's going to ask me some questions, but I should figure this out first. So, I'll come back to that in just a second. It's going to be hard to do a tour. My desk is a mess, and it's also only 5 feet wide. Anyway, so homonyms, they're already handled. What if you get a bug in it and the AI can't fix it? Well, that's what I'm here for. I know how to code. I know how to troubleshoot. So that's why it's important to know how to code. Anyway, so they're already there. So let's figure this out. What should the seed remove from the data foundation? Reseed is in and cheap. Okay, so let's do that. Do that. Wordless. Strip, period, digit, print, tokens. Yes. So next, frequency gate. Yeah, we want to do all right, we'll get back to that in just a second, I promise. All right, how far should the vowel sound multi-pronunciation work go? Multi-pronunciation query and surface assonance. Yeah, that makes sense. What scope do you want to build now versus... Data cleanup, gating, and engine fix to later pass. What do we do? I think we polish now into further rest. Okay, so we're going to do that. When I mean what are we doing with homonyms, I mean how are we going to display them on the front end. All right, perfect. All right, so desk, I honestly don't know how I'm going to show it. I can show this. So I've got dogs. This is Momo. This is Appa. So Appa, Momo, they're both Shih Tzus. My wife drew these, so very cute. I have them on my desk. I've got my water bottle. It's got my name on it. So that's cool. Over here, well, microphone here, camera there, obviously. This is I have a MacBook Pro, 32 gig RAM, I think, 48 maybe, which is how I can stream and run Next.js. Scepter. Yep, Scepter. It's a 27-inch curved monitor, and then a Focusrite audio interface. It's really not a lot. I don't know if I can actually show anything here. Like, honestly, it's just... Let's see if I can do this. No, I can't. I can't even get a good screenshot of it. So that'll have to wait. There's no good vibes on my desk for real. I've got this light over here. I got another light over here, and then the two pictures behind me. Super easy setup, but when you work from home and you do this, like, you don't spend a lot of time at your desk, honestly. So my real desk is actually my couch with my dogs. So you get cute pictures of dogs, though, that are hand-drawn, so that's cool. All right, so now with that done, let's figure out what Claude has done for me. So it's just doing UX polish. So I'm going to record the data as the spec for the next pass. And so you're missing words question right after. All right. So now let's see what's going on. Let's see if I can load this up. So test. Did my CMS service not come up? Oh, CMS is up. Thank you, I appreciate that. I do try to be as clear as possible in my explanations. So is this just not loading? It is. So if I do test. Oh, it probably got rid of all of it. So I wonder, so I told it to do a fade in. I wonder what it did for that. Did it go and get like a library, or did it do it with CSS? I imagine it went in. Interesting. I think it used Tailwind. That's cool. So I wouldn't expect it to just use Tailwind. I thought it might have used something like that. Flash might be too much. I thought it might use something like what is it? Motion now, Framer, like Motion by Framer. I use Print for debugging. What do you use? I just use my IDE. So I have WebStorm. It has a debugging tool somewhere. Yeah, it has debug right there. So I can use that. All right, so let me get out of my servers here so Claude can do its checks. And then I will look at what it's done while Claude generates the new file. So it'll have to update the roadmap and the handoff. So I'll be able to do other stuff while it's doing that. All right. Most markers present, okay. So one other thing that I know I will need to be focusing on for this application is going to be accessibility as well. Accessibility is one of the things that I always focus on accessibility when I am designing and implementing anything. So I want to make sure that Claude does as well. Also, back to the debugging question, like that's what console log is for. I can just use that and debug my way through a function if I need to. Figure out where things are broken and why. But yes, I know that's not necessarily always enough. But it usually works. All right, so it's getting the spec written for that, for the more advanced changes. So let's take a look here. So it's going to show 17 more, show 20 more. Oh, this is perfect. I love that, actually. Diest. All right, so If I do that and then I go to dressed, so it leaves that. Yoist. So there still are some words in here that I wouldn't. Oh, wait. It did not remove the words yet. That's right. All right. I'm curious, though, if I look this up. So it thinks it's east, but it's not actually a real word. All right. The UX pass is done. I do really like, actually, how this works. So that resets it, though, so I don't love that. I don't know. Should this be a table or should it stay as multiple groups? I think it should stay as multiple groups. And start with syllable. All right, so display front end captures in the plan. Now directly. Contest, read, read. That makes sense. Okay, I understand what it's saying now. Missing words, adding words. Proper names and some inflected forms. In our planned cleanup, we'll deliberately remove some. That's fine. A human shouldn't have to write the alphabet. That's the real barriers and something a non-linguist can author. We don't need them to. Data muse can return. Okay, perfect for a word. Come back to that in a second. We'd feed that straight into our existing engine. Okay, so I shouldn't have to do any of that. A later phase since it leans on data muse. Yes, add it to the roadmap, and then I will compact or clear context and then move on to phase 3. So I do like how this is looking so far. I think the UI could use some more love, like I think... Oh, collapse all works, expand all. That's perfect, actually. So I think that's okay. Do the same there. You can show all 92 syllable rhymes here. All 53 there. So yeah, there are a few user things that are a little weird. So like if I go between tabs, it resets, which is fine. And then I can do show 8 more. And then if I go to a different word, that's a bad example. So let's go to U. So I can show all 181, and then if I go to any of these, it stays expanded. Then if I go to any of these, it collapses. So some things to work on there. We should write that down, actually. There's another UI thing for us to fix, but we can defer it to a later phase. If I open up all the words for one syllable rhymes with new, and then click on any one syllable word, the word will load and all rhymes in the one syllable section will still show up for the new word. But if I go to different tabs, for example, from perfect to assonance, the groups collapse back down to only show the initial set of words. If I open that up, then click on a word within that rhyme, it brings me back to the perfect rhyme. So there are some things that we need to smooth out there. I'm not quite sure what I want the flow to be yet, but I know that that is a little all over the place. All right. So I'm going to send that through. So hi there, excited to catch your session. How do you usually tackle a test that fails unexpectedly? You fix it. So not only will I have Claude run tests at every turn, so you're going to generate tests and you're going to generate tests and you're going to try your test every time before you deploy. So I should never find a failing test in my CI/CD. It should always be done in deployment, so I can just handle it there. I don't have to worry about opening another PR. I don't have to bring anybody else in. I can just take care of it and then submit one PR that has all passing tests. So that's what the tests are there for. They're there to catch those errors that you don't expect. And then, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you doing? I assume Dukes, ex-Duke. I can only see the at tags now for YouTube. Thanks for joining. All 3 confirmed. Let me record them as defer. Known issue and code level root causes. I really want this to move on to phase 3, which I think is really fixing up the users. So I'll defer these later. And then move on to the next section here. I think I traced it to 3 concrete causes in. All right, is this ready? Can I clear context, or is there anything else you need first? I don't know why I just said that out loud while I typed it when I could have just dictated it with Raycast. But what are you going to do? All right. Yes, they're okay. They're mine. It's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and clear our context. Pick up. I just need to dictate. Pick up phase 3. So now phase 3, if I go over to WebStorm, where's the roadmap? There's the roadmap. So phase 2 is done now. So now we're working on favorites notes and the caps for those notes. Did it create? Is it the handoff that's going to have this document? Ah, yes, decided but deferred. All right, so the handoff document has future issues to work out. So all of those decisions that I just made that I deferred to later will be taken care of. I didn't even realize all of those were in there. So if I open up, so if I find rhymes, yep, that's in there. That's weird. Very weird to me. And it's like high frequency too. So that means like people use it a lot. All right, so what should a note attach to? This drives the note collection schema and the word page. Interesting. I think it should have an optional link. Well, so Claude recommends having it as a per word annotation. I do want to fit a songwriting workflow. Yeah. But then let's do optional link. All right, then favorites, relationship to a Word document. Yes. How much should this pass cover? Full, vertical slice, collections, caps, seated users, join fields, and web UI. Yep, take care of all of it. You have plenty of context. We'll figure it out as we go. All right, so now implementing phase 3, which if we want to look at that again, done phase 2. Phase 3. Does this have the suggest a word? I didn't see that come through, but we'll see in just a second. All right, notes carry a body, so no phase 3b. Got it. All right, so that's what I was actually just asking, so I'm surprised it knew that. All right, it's going to start on a new branch. Verify the join field syntax, current docs. Are you going to use the payload skill? Yes, you are. Perfect. It finally listened to me. So it's using the payload skill to figure out how the CMS works. Great. So if I come over here and open collections, we should start to see favorites. So we got hooks now, normalize CMS source collection. So notes, I don't see those being added yet. I imagine it's going to try and kick me off of this servers. Oh, there we go. So it's because I was on the servers. All right, so now it's going to go in and add some test users, which will be helpful. I already have my test admin, but having a test paid and test free would be nice. And then does this have login? Or is it using the payload login? Because I don't want that either. So if I go to our web, source, routes, it does have login, perfect. All right, so we're getting our seeded users. Then after that, we need our server functions to add and like toggle our favorites and notes. 3 users created, now the web layer, favorite button, notes, library page. I wonder if this is going to add full CRUD for the notes because we'll want to be able to delete. More server functions. So we should start to see these coming up in here too. Middleware rhymes. Where are you putting them? Are they in server favorites? So it hasn't been generated yet, but schema. No, so, oh, library. There we go. So we have schemas now. Transfer object, payload. What are you doing here? Okay, so this is the token handling. And now it's still adding the notes and the favorites. Source server. There's the favorites and the notes. Perfect. So it's already, it knows that this is a word. So I think that's going to come up in type check. Same down data. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, type issues. And I'm glad that it's finding these all at once instead of what has happened to me in the past is it would do like one pass would fail, then it would fix that, and then it would find another type issue, and then another type issue, and then eventually you just burn through so many tokens trying to figure out how many different type issues there are. So I'm glad it's actually getting all of this now and not deferring it to later. All right, favorite button. And then it's going to verify phase 3. So I'll let it verify phase 3, but it's going to kick me out of using my development servers. So we're going to have to wait till it finishes in order for me to do anything with it. Yep, so there's a toggle. That's what I wanted to check. So for notes, is there error message, list, create, update, delete. Perfect. So it has full CRUD, which is great. Interesting that it needs to use as const for these. I guess it makes sense. All right, more web UI, saving stuff. I have no idea what this is going to look like. I didn't give any so I gave it the architecture, but I didn't give it any design. So it's just gonna do what it wants to do with design, but it has Tailwind and Shadcn, so ideally it doesn't do anything too crazy, but I guess we'll see. Library. All right. Still doing, okay, there's the web. Type check CMS. So are we moving to verification yet? All right, getting there, getting there. It's always like this last couple of seconds or minutes of Claude doing its thing that I'm just like getting a little impatient, a little antsy. I want it to get it through. All right, so now it looks like we're about to get into the verification, but we have new notes, new favorites. Then in our collections and our CMS should be the same. Favorites, notes, users have been changed, so we're good. Still making a web UI, I guess. So part of this is probably Next.js still spinning up. There we go. Timeout 3 minutes. 4:03 for... Oh, right, because CMS. All right, progress. Looking good. Library renders directly. Login to see your saved words. New login is paid and verified. Oh, are you able to log in like that? All gating renders correctly by auth state. Auth page shows perfect. Oh, Lord, it's still testing everything. But I think this is actually the verification part. So back to our roadmap. After this, we're going to have 3 emails that we're going to test. So I will do all that. So after this is going to be stripe gating. So I think we might need to flip phase 4 and 5. Because as soon as we start gating with stripe, it takes a little bit more thought to actually... I think we need to flip phases 4 and 5. That way, when we add stripe gating, I don't have to configure stripe before I actually need to. All right, updating the roadmap. Perfect. So that means I should be able to get in here. And so this will log me in as an admin, I believe. Yep, so we've got admin. Let's log in and do free at versecraft.com. Oh, what is the password that you're giving me? Now I need to find the password for our tests here. I don't know why it's not just test. Oh, okay. Change me, 1, 2, 3, that was wrong. Change me, 2, 3. Oh. Test. There we go. So we've got free. I can do test. Got a note down here. That looks pretty good. Perfect. I can save test. Go to my library. I see test is saved. There's some UI things here that I think we could change. If I go back to test, I can Great for a new song. Library. That's perfect. So that looks great. We can delete. That's perfect. Should have a delete confirmation modal. The test badge looks a little weird. Oh, Control V. So that's good. Go back to Versecraft. There was something else I was going to do while I was here. So if I go back to test. Actually, I think that was it. Oh, I remember now. We should implement something like better auth instead of password login to keep this more secure. That can be deferred for a later phase as well. For notes, we should have a delete confirmation modal. All right, then we can log out, log in, do paid at versecraft.test, change me 1, 2, 3. So now if I look up test, I should have access to all of these. Great. Go to library, there's nothing different here. And then we should have admin. So all of this is working great. Versecraft.test, change me 1, 2, 3. Library. So this should have access to everything as well. So that looks great. Yeah, notes only, auth phase. Yeah, let's do it before Stripe. Because then I can add something like login with Google or like a magic link. So instead of, I don't want to have to manage passwords, even with like salting and hashing and all that stuff. It's just better for me to not have to deal with that. So we could do a magic link or a one-time password, and then even add passkey, things like that. So all of that's going to be good with better auth. But I don't want to have to do it right now. So it'll probably be in the next phase rather than right now. But I'm going to get this to a good stopping place. And we've tested all of our users. I just want to test the notes, and so I can actually save this and then note. And then add note. I didn't check any of the caps though, but that's fine. Free users should see their cap for notes and favorites. Any other limits as well. Oh, had to cough real quick. Had tickle in my throat. All right, so getting close. Almost got something that I'm happy with, or happy-ish with. All right, perfect. Yeah, that looks great to me. So I can either go to the word or I can get rid of it. So dialogue's not in yet. Now it should be, so let me refresh. Oh, that looks great. So we can delete this note, can't be undone, delete the note. Perfect. Let me log out and go to a free user. So free at versecraft.test. Change me 123. So our auth is working just great. And now here we're going to add usage caps for our favorites here. So we should see this up here. Oh, so that's going to the word first. So save that. Add a note. I'm in a free user. Oh, okay, so we have to get the usage in first of all. There we go. So we can see 1 of 25 saved. Then our notes should have 1 of, I think 10 is what we said. 1 of 5, okay. And then the library section. Oh, 1 of 25. 1 of 5. Looks good to me. So I can log out, log back in, do, let's just say admin at versecraft.com. Change me 123. Change me 123. Oh. Test. Go to the library. There should be no usage limits. So I can go here, and that's not going to say anything. So that is perfect, but let's make sure. Go back to our free user real quick. Versecraft.test. Change me 123. If I go to library, is that supposed to happen? So let's go to rest and save that. Log out, log in, admin at versecraft.test. Change me 123. Library. Okay, so that's a problem. When I save a word or record a note in one account, the admin account also sees it. So I recorded a word in free, and I see admin has that same word that I did not add to the admin account. That's going to boot me off here in a second. Paid at versecraft.test. Change me 123. But not for paid. Interesting. So then log, if I do nick at example.com. But admin does. Only my 2 admin accounts also get the words. So it's really strange that the admin account is inheriting words from another account. That is a problem, and we need to fix that. Only my 2. So let's test one more thing there. So if I do paid at versecraft.test, change me 123. I go to library, nothing's there. If I do test, we should actually do rest and then save that library. So that shows up. And then we can go back to rest. This would be different. So test note. So we have that. But then if I go log in to my admin at versecraft.test, change me 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's recording. Oh, root cause. Okay, so it's fixing it now. So it was what was happening. So this is a bug. The admins need to see everybody's words here in users. So I should be able to see free and I should be able to see all of their users. But what was happening is they were getting applied to my account on the front end because the admin can see all rows. I wonder if I should support usernames here. So future phase, but we should also support unique usernames instead of auto-generated slugs. All right, I think as soon as we get that note in there, we should be good to wind it on down. Library, oops. Personal view, perfect. So I guess it's row level security if you want to call it that, but that's now done. Now to your message, I'll record the unique usernames request as a future item, not build it now. Identity works, so belongs with phase 5 auth hardening. Okay. Perfect. So phase 3 is done-ish. So we still have 3B. And then $4B. So we've got plenty to do. All right, so we're not going to do phase 3B yet. For phase 5, I specifically want to get OAuth set up, specifically Google. I would also like passkeys, and we should include an easy way to find how to generate that passkey when somebody logs in, as well as one-time password via email. I'm winding down this session, so let's update the handoff doc to explain what we've done so far and what's up next. We want to make sure that we don't forget phase 3B, 4B, or I believe it's labeled phase 2.5. All right, so just writing some notes here. Payload better off. All note is better off. Yeah, I want to be fully passwordless. I don't want to deal with that. How should users discover create a passkey at login? Autofill, post login prompt, and help. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Short little explainer showing why they should have passkey. All right, so I've written out all of the notes that I need for our passwordless decisions. Then I'm going to have Claude update our handoff and other documentation. And then it's time to call it quits. It's starting to get to be that time. All right, main ask restructure the handoff, so 2.5 can't be missed on resume. Let me read the top. Read the top to place a prominent backlog index. So that's going into our, let's make sure our handoff doc here. I'm sure you can hear my dog right now. I'm very excited for me to be done. All right, project memory. So I'll be able to clear this, and then we'll pick this back up on Monday. So we don't need to watch the rest of this. This will just do its thing and update our handoff. But I want to thank you all for watching. If you would like to learn more about Payload, which is the CMS I'm using, I do have, first of all, more videos on Payload throughout my channel. But I also have a course called Payload Essentials on my website, nlvcodes.com. You can find that link in the description. Be sure to also become a member of my channel. You can either use Patreon or YouTube membership, whichever, to get early access to any of my future videos. Your support is what makes these videos possible, so thank you so much. I also have a newsletter, Next in Dev, link in the description, or you can follow me on X, Twitter, whatever, NL Vogel, link in the description. But that's it for this one. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it was inspirational. Hopefully you saw something you thought was cool. Regardless, whatever you thought of it, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.